On this show, I'm constantly harping about you getting off the grind and becoming a winner, an entrepreneur, like me. However, there are those who just feel they're too inadequate to aspire to such a lofty goal of being more like me. I totally understand. Sometimes I intimidate myself just looking in the mirror. But if you're one of those people, then today, this episode is for you. I've got an interview for the timid, the weak, those who are not ready to jump in head first and feet first into this entrepreneurial world yet. You're going to want to stay tuned for this. Your dream job depends on it. Hit it, James.
Brad Johnson Show. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Blast off. Welcome to the Brad Johnson Show.
I'm Brad Johnson, and I'm turning losers like you into winners like me.
The Brad Johnson Show with your host, Brad Johnson.
Get ready to start winning.
And now your host, Brad Johnson.
Hey, I'm your host, Brad Johnson. Here as always, with me, the assistant to the host, Mr. James Kirkland. Welcome to the Brad Johnson.
Mr. James Kirkland.
Welcome to the Brad Johnson Show, where we turn losers like you into winners like me. Glad to have you here, as always, pouring my voice into your very cavernous brain cavity. James, we have got quite an interview today. This is something that honestly was not even on my radar because having a job to me is just so lame. I mean, it's hashtag loserly to the max, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a job is really not worth the time.
No, not at all. But you know, I'm one of those entrepreneurs who doesn't just talk. I also listen when people have something to say that I care about, and when they do, it's usually about me or this show, and the show is me. So when people talk about this show and they say, "Hey, you know, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm not quite ready to take the leap yet," my normal reaction to that is just the slap down, either the face-to-face slap down or the social media slap down, which you can learn if you go to bradjohnsonshow.website/course, which people need to do. But if you don't know how to do the slap down, I won't go into it right now. But just suffice to say, it's slap down time when they're like, "Oh, I'm not ready to be an entrepreneur." But you know, there's just some people that are like that. So not ready to take the dive head first in and feet first in to the entrepreneurial pool that is really an ocean of amazingness and winning. So when they're not ready to do that, they need a job, right? So that they need a job that they can work while they get ready to take that leap. So today's episode is all about helping those people just land that job so they don't have to be stuck doing the job for the rest of their life. And we're talking to an expert on this. I mean, an expert. And like I said, not really on my radar. He wasn't, but somebody recommended him, and we'll see how this goes. So this show, I'm going to help you as best as I can salvage the wreckage that is your life through my tried and true answers, guaranteed to change your life, maybe even for the better. But before we get to that, the amazing interview that is going to change your life and maybe even for the better, it's time for a word from our sponsor.
Whose turn is it to make dinner? I did it last time. No, you didn't. I did. Spaghetti again? I want a divorce. Sound familiar? I'm betting it does. It's time for change. Introducing HelloFresh, the only meat-only meal kit delivery company. Say hello to simplistic home cooking. Create mouth-watering meals with easy recipes and pre-measured slabs of meat. New cuts every week. Here's how it works. Select your favorite meats from 115 Butcher's Choice recipes. Schedule your meaty deliveries, and we'll take care of the rest. Forget planning meals and shopping at gross grocery stores where they don't have enough meat. You will love our delicious enhanced products dropped straight at your door. You'll also love cooking your meal from HelloFresh, or not. Bacon, short loin, short ribs, shoulder tender, silver side, sirloin steak, skirt steak, spare ribs, standing rib roast, sitting rib roast, bacon, and more. Go to HelloFresh.com/Brad as the best winner for your special offer. 5% off your first order of $486 or more. If you try HelloFresh and don't like your first order, then there's something wrong with you. HelloFresh, the meat and only the meat, so help us God.
All right, another one of my favorite sponsors. Get you some of that HelloFresh. Am I right, James? Like that'll rock your world right there.
Oh, definitely. It's It's amazing.
Ah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so speaking of loving things and not loving things, I don't love normal jobs. But there are some people who, they're just cut from a different cloth. And that cloth is probably kind of gray and spotted with rust and oil and other gunky stuff and probably has holes in it and stuff like that, and it's just not very nice to look at. But there are those people like that. But my guest today is one of those people, cut from one of those claws. He actually holds the world's record for having the most number of jobs throughout his life, with a total of over 7,000 different jobs. This is an incredible feat, just absolutely incredible. And I wanted to have him on the show to talk about how to land a dream job. Because if you're not ready to be an entrepreneur yet, then it's time for you to figure out how to get your dream job that's not really a real job because it's not an entrepreneurial job, but it'll get you on the right path to becoming an entrepreneur so you can become a winner and become more like me. So, today we're talking with my friend, my good pal, Mr. Carl Kleinschmidt. Carl, hey, how are you doing today, my friend?
Brad, it's so good to be talking to you once again. It's definitely a pleasure to be on this show.
It really is. I hear that anytime I interview anybody, they're just like, man, it's such a pleasure to be talking with you, the winner of winners. And I'm like, I know. When I talk to myself, I feel the same way. So, Carl, I know this is probably one of those questions that you don't get asked very often because, I try and shake things up. I try and really give an interview that doesn't have the normal just blah stuff in it. And I want to ask questions that the people are really interested about. So I can just tell by your voice, Carl, that you're older than me. So the question is, Carl, how old are you?
Oh, Brad, that is a great question. And, it's something I've thought about a lot myself. And I'm not sure. So that's a great question. I'd have to think about that and get back to you on it.
Wow. That's kind of the answer, that just really, I think it blows people away on, and probably inspires them in a way too, that this life is short, but it's actually really long, because if you forget how old you are, that just shows how long it can go on. So, Carl, there's a lot of things in life that I haven't done because I just didn't want to. But it seems like there's a lot of things in life that you have done, and apparently you wanted to. So tell me, Carl, what kind of got you started on this journey of working at over 7,000 different jobs?
Well, you see, it all started back in '36 when I worked down at the soda parlor, and I'd just be doing my thing, mopping floors. I was just a young whippersnapper back then, but one day I got to thinking to myself, and I says, Carl, you need to do something else with your life. And then I thought, I'm sure there have been generations of youngsters like myself at that time who said that exact same thing to themselves. So I thought, you know what? I gotta start getting a job. But not one job, not two jobs, as many jobs as I could get. And you wanna know why? The reason why is because if I could determine the best jobs to get and how to get those jobs, then I could start my own business, being a guidance counselor to people who need to get a job and get the exact job that they're looking for.
Man, that makes not really much sense, but I appreciate the effort. So you were just trying out all these different jobs because you were just like, okay, there's got to be something out there that is amazing, and it took 7,000. Now, Carl, was there one of those jobs that was a real highlight for you?
That's a tough question, because I've had so many jobs and so many unique experiences, but I'd probably say being a checkout clerk at Rose Hours is probably the best because of the fact that, I love food. First of all, I mean, if there's anything I love, I love me some food. But probably the best part was getting discounts on those, who was the famous baseball player, Babe Ruth, candy bars. Those are my favorite things to get discounts on.
Oh, okay, that's Man, picking a job based on the discounts. I like that thought process. That's good. All right, so Carl, like I said, I'm just a great interviewer. I love just doing this and having great conversations and pulling good information out of people's heads. Whether it hurts or not, it's important that the audience gets it. So the audience always gets it when I'm talking. So I want to ask you some real probing questions. These are the questions that are not just your everyday run of the mill, but the ones that get to the heart of the matter. So the question that I know you probably haven't been asked because you've never been interviewed by me before is with over 7,000 jobs, Carl, how did you attend so many Christmas parties?
Well, you see, Brad, that is an excellent point, and a lot of people don't think about that when they have that many jobs, but I do because I am a professional. So the thing is, you can't go to all those Christmas parties. It's just not possible. So what you got to do is you have to start your own. That's what I had to do in my situation. So, I had all these big CEOs and C level and B level and G level executives inviting me to their Christmas parties. And finally, I decided to start my own. So I started sending out invites around Christmas saying, this is going to be my soiree, very exclusive, only the wealthiest, most influentialist people could come. And it was just a great way to streamline my Christmas celebration and really capturing the essence of why we celebrated in the first place.
That's good. That is good. I love it. Okay, so I'm assuming that's something you still do though, and great interviewers generally get invitations to parties and stuff like that. So I'd imagine there might be one in the future in my mailbox, huh?
Well, yeah, I still do the Christmas party. It's usually, I think it's usually around the 25th sometime. I think that's about when Christmas happens, usually. I think it's like every third Wednesday or something. But, yeah, I'll think about it. I'll get you back. I'll get back to you on that.
Right, okay, all right. So, moving on. Okay, so Carl, the reason I wanted to have you on today is just because you're one of those people who's not young anymore, and I feel like some people respect that, even though I'm super young and people respect me a lot. That's not always the case for younger people. So I thought having you on to talk about your experiences as getting all these jobs might be able to help somebody who's struggling. Like they want to become an entrepreneur because really, I mean, what else is there to be? But they're just not ready to take the leap yet. So today I thought you'd come on and just kind of give the nice people out there some nice tips as to and that was what really turned me on to you at first was that article that you wrote about 7 tips to landing your dream job of all time ever. And that article it caught my eye because anytime something says 7 tips, I'm just like, whoa, okay, 7 tips, like I should probably look at these. So I want to go through these with you, Carl, if that's all right with you.
Yes, definitely. I think this is probably the best way to help someone land their dream job and really kickstart their career, because you don't want it to be a career. You want to bring that career into the front, from the rear into the front, and make it a confront. So this is my advice for people to get that started.
All right. Well, let's dive right into these, Carl, and really give the people some value. All right. So, what is the first tip that you would give to somebody so that they can land that dream job they've always been, dreaming about?
The first set of things we're going to talk about are what you should do for your job interview. Now, that's crucial because that's when you first get to talk to the people that you're going to be working with, and you've got to make a good impression. So the first thing is show up late to your job interview. And that may seem a little counterintuitive, but let me tell you, it works every time. It gets their attention. It makes them a little off balance. When you come in the room, they're not expecting you. You can come in on your terms and get exactly what you want out of that job.
Wow, I love that power play. I'm such a big advocate of power plays because, power is what winners have. And because I'm a winner, it's a natural, messageation right there, and it's really man, I like that. Just show up late, show them that you're the one with the power. That's great, Carl. I think people will be able to put that into practice right away.
Oh, definitely. It's something that you really can do at any time, because it's all about creating your own time and running on your own time schedule. And that's the only way I've been able to have this many jobs.
That is amazing. I love it. All right, so give us the next tip.
So number 2, you're gonna want to use as much slang as you can. Now, that means that you gotta have a wide vocabulary that you can use in this job interview. You got to impress that person by using all kinds of words that they don't know. You got to use terms that are unrelated, things that they won't recognize, because you want to be able to have the upper hand in this mental battle that we call an interview.
I love that. I think that's something that most people don't think about, because they just get in this rut of just using words that everybody uses, and that's man, so loserly. Like you don't want to be using the words that everybody else uses. Yeah, and I don't know, Carl. I would say probably if I was advising somebody, don't be afraid to make up your own words.
That's definitely a strategy that I've used before, and it's great because it kind of intimidates the other person because they're afraid to ask what you meant when you're really the only one that knows.
Oh, so good. All right, Carl, hit us with the next tip.
Number 5, be arrogant and overconfident. Now, overconfident may seem over the top, but because you're bringing your career to the front, you got to do things that will help you hop over that fence of averageness and normal necessity.
Yeah, that's good. I like. So you want to come in with a confidence that unlike anything they've ever seen before, and they're just like, whoa, this person, they know what they want, they know what they're talking about, and yeah, I should probably give them this job.
And really, that's where your reputation just precedes you in such an important way that they got to recognize this guy means business and he knows what he's talking about, and he's been in the Secret Service, and he's been a sniper, and he's killed a few people in his life, so he don't mess around with that guy.
That's awesome. All right, so the overbearing, the confidence, and people, like I always say, if you want confidence, you need to take the course. BradJohnsonShow.website/course. No, shameless plug right there, because you need plugged. All right, so next tip.
Number 8 is dress the way that you want to. So when you go into a job interview, first impressions are important, but second impressions are even more important. Because whenever you walk in, you gotta show them that you know what you're doing. The way that you dress shows exactly what you're trying to say. They may have to interpret it because it might not jive with what they're used to. If you come in, and it's a white collar place, and you got jeans and cargo shorts on, they're gonna be confused. But that's all right, because you automatically have the upper hand once again.
It's all about those power plays. And yes, I talk to my clients about this all the time, that how you dress has such a profound impact. And especially, like you said, when it doesn't make any sense, and it just throws them off. They're not quite sure what's going on, but you know what's going on, and that's what matters.
Exactly. It's really just about making sure that they understand that they may be on the other side of the desk, but at the end of the day, we all know who's boss.
Yeah, who's on top of the desk, and in the front of that career, the front. All right, so let's keep moving on through these. These are so good. This is a gold mine of nuggets of gold. So let's hit them with the next tip.
Number 6 is going to be make sure and bend the truth to make it sound like you want it to. Now, some people might say, "Wait, that sounds like you're telling a lie." Well, I'm telling you, that's not true. So that's really a great strategy to use.
Yeah, I can totally see. Okay, so we're talking resume style thing right here. So they're like, okay, well, have you ever done this before? And you're just like, well, and then like to yourself, you're just like, if I do this right now, then I will have done this before. And they don't hear the first part of the sentence, but they all they hear is what you want them to hear. And that's really how humans operate most of the time anyway.
Yeah, and in my case, often that actually was the case that I actually did know how to do everything because I'd had so many jobs, and that's really another reason I wanted to do this, so I could tell people that I basically know how to do everything now.
There you go. All right. So, Carl, we're getting down to the end of the list here, but I think the people need some more value. Let's pour it in their brains.
All right, number nine is gonna be focused on the money. So obviously, in your job, the reason you're there is to make money, to be rich, to be wealthy, to have lots of things, to, have a house in Cabo, whatever it might be, whatever your goals are financially, you gotta have them. So keep that in the forefront of your mind. Talk about it during the interview.
Love it. Yeah, I have two houses in Cabo, and real estate prices there are good. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. That's good. So when people do take a job, they're basically taking a pay cut by not being an entrepreneur, like just leaving money on the table. So they might as well keep money in the forefront. I like that. All right, so Carl, we're down to the last tip. I think people are sitting on the edges of their seats, and dipping their toes and their head into the pool of entrepreneurship. So let's give them that final tip.
All right, so number 11 is going to be don't make eye contact. That's what they want. They want you to look at you. You will look at them in the eye. They want you to lock gazes so they can have that hypnotic effect on you and bend you to their will. But don't give in to that. That's what they want, and you cannot submit to their control.
Hitting the nail on the head as usual. So good. All right, so we have just wrapped up the 7 top tips to get somebody their dream job. Now, Carl, there's always, at the end of an interview where I'm just like, okay, so I asked the guest, I'm always asking good questions, but sometimes there's just something that I didn't have time to get to or just didn't really care about. So I like to ask the guest, is there anything that you want to leave the audience with that you may not have said yet? And go.
Yeah, well, if I had to leave the listeners with one important piece of advice, it would be this. This could be your bonus tip. Now, I don't give out those very often, so listen up, folks. It's crucial that after this job interview, you gotta go and follow up with the person that you talk to. Okay? You don't take no for an answer. You gotta get after it. You gotta get that job. So whatever that means, you got to do it. You got to fall through. You got to show up at their house. You got to show up at the front door. Show up in their living room. Whatever you got to do to get that job. Stop at nothing until you get what you want.
Wow. Oh, man, this is not the kind of advice that you would get from normal people. And that's because we are not normal. We're winners, and we give winnerly advice. #winnerly. So that is so good. You don't want to, if you go to the job interview and you don't follow up, you are going to lose. Somebody else is going to get that job if you don't follow up. And nothing says following up like actually following. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's once again, it's the element of surprise. Catch them off guard. See them someplace they wouldn't expect you to show up, and you automatically have an advantage over the next person that comes in.
Yeah, and it really puts you in a whole different realm than anybody else who's applying, because suddenly they're like, oh, that's not just the guy who wanted a job. That's the guy who wants a job so bad that he, let himself in and sat in my living room. That's so good. I love that. Carl, you have done the world a service by letting me talk to you and pull some nuggets of wisdom out of your brain and just throw them out there like grain for the pigeons that are the audience. So I just want to thank you, Carl, for doing that. For being here and, for winning. Just keep it up, man. I know you don't got much time left, but, don't let that stop you.
Oh, yeah, Brad, of course. And anytime you need nuggets of any kind, just talk to me, and I'll get them for you. I know where I can get a good deal on some.
That's fantastic. All right, Carl. Thanks so much. We will maybe talk to you later. Maybe. All right. Have a great one.
Thank you very much, Chad.
All right, another fantastic interview. How do I keep doing it? I don't. So good, so good. All right, so now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the sound of my social footprint. This is where I read what you guys had to say about what I had to say, and say what I have to say about that. James, after a great interview like that, it's time to get into some great social media. And it's my social media, so we know it's great.
Only the greatest for the Brad Johnson Show. At Brad Johnson Show, that is.
Yes. All right. Let's hit me with some Insta action right now.
Our first comment comes from Be First Apparel 817, who says, "Officer, my fashion group, peak our profile Officer, my fashion group, peak our info profile ASAP."
ASAP. Yes, I love that acronym. That's good. I don't know what the rest of it means, but I understand ASAP. That's do it as soon as probable. All right, next action there.
This one comes from Zulat, who says, "Let's make a change."
Oh, totally. Every day, except it's always the same. There's no change because it's always winning, which is a change for most people. So it's good stuff. All right, next.
This one comes from Startup, who says, "We got the same mindset." I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'd have a look at your social media and see that it's not as good as mine, and so probably not the same mindset. But, if you want to get the same mindset, bradjohnsonshow.website/course. Just a little plug there. All right, next action there.
This one's from Team Chart CRM, who says, "Posts like these are what we need to see on a daily basis. Beautiful."
I have so many people tell me that. It's like, "Brad, I need more of this." I'm like, yes, I know, but, I just sometimes don't care, so I don't do it. But that's what you got VAs for. So sometimes they fall down on the job, and you just fire them. Get another one. There's always more out there. Philippines is a big place. So, all right, thanks so much, guys, for your social media action. That's all we got time for today. It's time now, though, to take things down a notch, as we always do, to make sure that you don't have a brain attack from all the value that I've poured into your noggin today. It's time for the quote of the day. "A bird does not forget where it lays its eggs." That right there is an African proverb. Those Africans, they had some wisdom. Definitely had some wisdom. So think about that. Let it kind of mush down in your brain and absorb the wisdom that is there. So thanks, guys, so much for listening. Remember to share the podcast with a loser that you know who needs help in any area of their life, because that's what it's all about. This podcast is about sharing my winningness with you, so that you don't have to be the loser that you are. Thanks for listening today.
Every
We'll catch you
episode,
next
we bring
time.
you tips,
Ciao.
tricks, interviews, advice, and answers to fix the mess that is your life, while helping you stop being a loser and start winning in business, health, and your personal life. Show us your face, tweet us your tweets, and Insta your grams at Brad Johnson Show. The Brad Johnson Show. Winners only.